Good day, guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Ademola Badmus. If this is your first time, please do not forget to like and subscribe. So this is our final video on the TDD with pytest series, and we are going to be talking about fixtures and how to use it. Basically, what fixtures affords us to do is to be able to set up a setup and is to be able to construct a setup and tear down. So what do I mean by a setup and tear down? A setup basically means how you want your code, how you want your script to start, and a teardown is to end. So one thing that we'll use this site to explain better. We'll use the source demo page to explain better. So for our setup here, we want to launch the page, and for our teardown, we want to log out for every time we log in. So if we log in right now, then we have to log out. So that's it. So basically, we will need these elements. We need the username field, we need the password field, and we need the login button. Then we need the username because the usernames are different. We also need the password, is just one thing. So that means that we can use one method at any point in time. You can use, since a login action is going to happen twice, there is no point creating two methods to log in. You just need to understand your login process, so to speak, because in this login the password isn't different. So all we just need to change at each point in time is the username. So I have taken a liberty to because I don't want the video to be long, I've taken the liberty to get all the test data that is needed, and also the not just the test data that is needed, I've also gotten the element locators and all. So I'm just going to go directly into our file and create and just paste everything there. So I think I have it somewhere here, and this is it. Yep. So I'll just paste it there, and we can move on from there. So the other thing I would want to also do is I don't want to create a new class file for it, where it will have to start inheriting something else. I want it to be able to just use itself. So I will make some modification. You remember that in launching our page, we were just we are directing it to just one URL, which was for the previous test. But this time around, we want to also use it for source demo. So we make our launch page become dynamic, not static, by accepting an argument. So which means wherever I want to use launch page now, we need to just pass in the argument that we need. So we can do home page and call that URL, right? So which means we can now go ahead and create the methods that will help us open the source page. So now, one thing that is worthy of mention is we only need three methods here. Like I explained, the login user. The login user, we can do it, like we can use it many times as long as we just change the username, because we already know all the other parameters are going to remain the same. So the username field will remain the same, the password field remains the same, and the password itself remains the same. So as the login button. So is the login button. So that is fine. The only thing that will change here is the user. So we'll probably just do something like that. Then the last method that we'll need is the logout method. And the logout method, as you can see when I showed you the process, let me show that again. When we logged in, the logout method takes two steps. We click the burger menu and we click the logout link. And I've copied that too, so we need two steps there. So in a bid to just make sure that we do not waste much time, I have also written this method. So let me just copy and paste it somewhere there. So this is it. So we have all the methods that we need. So the next thing that we need to do is now start creating the test. So in the test, let's name it test underscore fixtures, because to just explain that that's what we are trying to do. So this time we are going to use an optimized way. We are going to create a class. So the first thing that we'll do is we are going to import pytest, as we will need pytest, and the next one is we'll import the page action class from our page objects file. So because we are going to be using the test data we are going to be using the standard user, the user names and all that here inside the code. So we'll also import the test data class. That's the only thing that we need here. So we'll import that from element mapper. So we can say test equals page action. So it takes everything inside page actions and is ready to use. Then let's create the class that we need. So you can say class, as it is, it has to start with test. So fixture example. As the name stands, we can create a doc string to say what it does. This is a fixture example, right? So we've been able to do that, and let's just start writing what we need. So the first thing we call is the dot fixture flag. So we do not need this, there is not a method. And the next thing is we start writing the method that we need. So we call this setup. Now, what is important to note is that any method under the pytest.fixture does not need to carry a test prefix. It doesn't need to carry it at all, because it is working like a hook, a before and after hook. So that's the way it works. So it doesn't it's not something that will be tested. It will be a part of the test. So we'll see it as time goes on. So we say test. You can now say open source demo because we've created that. Then in order to tear down, we use the command yield, and that would help us with the logout, right? Now let's write the first test. Let's write them separately first. So we can say test standard user. Now in here we will call the setup, because these methods now need to inherit this setup so it can perform it before each and after each hook on it. So we essentially do that, and the next thing that we'll do right now is we call in the login user test. So we need to pass in the test data now, and we'll pass in standard. So we'll copy and paste this and edit it to glitch user as well, so we can get this to work as glitch, and change this to glitch. So let's test this. So we write pytest, go into the test folder. Since we have two tests there now, we need to specify the one that we want, fixtures.py. Then we can write this to a reporter. So we can say test reporter.html, and let's run this and see. As you can see, it has logged in standard user and performance glitch user, which takes a while to log in. We'll log in now, and everything has passed. So since both of them are logging in, we can use our parameterize to just write a single login function, and parameterize will pass in the data. So I add the liberty. Okay, let me just rewrite it. So I wanted to do a copy and paste before, but that won't be necessary. So do a pytest, we put in the mark, and we parameterize. So in the parameterization, we will now have your user type. Let's call it, because that's the only thing we need to change. And after putting the user type, we need to put in the data. So in this case, I will not be using a tuple. And this is why I'm not be using a tuple, because it's a single data. So I will not be using a tuple, because the tuple, when you have so many data, when you have a group of data, it's better to use a tuple, because tuple is immutable. So the way you structure the data is the way it will remain there. So if you want it to move one after the other and the way you specify it, that's the way it's going to be. Okay. But in this case, you do not need to do any of that. So I will comment this out. So now that I've done this, the next thing I need to do here is now call that user type, then pass it in, as in put it as an argument, then pass it in here. So it becomes part of the code. So let us run this again and see. I expect it to work perfectly. Yeah, performance glitch, yes, and we are good. So we can just wipe this off because we do not need this anymore, and run the test again, and it will run as expected. So that is how to use fixture in a nutshell. You can use it for more complex things, and everything that we've covered is not to say that that's the only thing that you need to know about pytest. It's just introducing you to the other things you could do there, and you can actually do more. Because take for instance the commands we have been using to run it, there are other things that you can put in those commands. There are flags that you can use, right? Like one of them was when we're working on smoke, or when we're working on custom made when we're working on custom made markers. But you can use something like verbals. Verbals means that it would show you a more detailed thing going on underground while your test is running. Let it run, and as you can see, you have more details about what has run, and where it actually picked up some things, the metadata and all of those things. It gives you some more information, the Python interpreter that it used and all that, and where it got it from. You have information like that. So with that done, if you were able to get to the end of the video with me, thank you so much. Please do not forget to leave comments for vote of confidence, or if you have questions, leave your comments as well. Most importantly actually, do not forget to like and subscribe. So I will be doing the next series, which will be about BDD and behave in Python and Selenium. Thank you and bye bye.